Well, that's our focus here today on the program. I was joined this morning by Udengs Eradiri, who is the president of Ijaw Youth Council. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you, and good morning, viewers.
What is going on with this Avengers?
Well, Avengers, usually I don't like talking about Avengers, but I think that when you beat a particular sound, there is an expected dance step that follows. You see, the Niger Delta people went into an election, lost the election, and leaders in the region came together to call on our people to support the administration. The IYC came out with a statement congratulating the government and then laid out certain approach that we thought that if implemented or followed, the government will find its feet. We in fact said that the National Confab report should be like a kickoff point. The South-South and the South-East people did not vote for the administration. But once you become president of the entire country, irrespective of who voted for you or not. When President Goodluck Jonathan was elected, there were people who didn't vote for him. But when he came into governance with an open heart, carrying everybody along. But what happened was that immediately the administration started, they just built a brick wall. And what I mean by a brick wall is that a peace process started by Obasanjo when he started the coastal meetings. I visited the villa for the first time then. The issues were arising in the Niger Delta. Obasanjo decided to take the bull by the horn. And then he caused these coastal meetings that were every quarterly. What was happening in that meeting was that you see governors seated, you see stakeholders seated, you see youth seated. And we're accusing our governors to say, you have not done this. You see Obasanjo saying, in the next 3 months, Governor Ibori, we expect you to do X, Y, Z. NDDC, you must do this. So in the next 3 months when we were attending those meetings, you could see that these governors and NDDC, they sat up. What I'm trying to say is that you could see the approach of leadership. When the crisis got to a point, Yaradua's time, he stood up from sick bed to address the issues himself. And eventually there was an amnesty proclaimed, which was proclaimed in order to allow for peace in the Niger Delta, for other things to follow. The amnesty itself wasn't a stopgap machinery to address the issues in the Niger Delta. It was just to say, let us allow for peace so that machines can move in. But unfortunately, we did not see the other part. Now we got to Goodluck's time. He also did his bit to manage the security in the region. But when this administration came, the first thing they did was to build a brick wall. You cancel a university that was there as a result of the peace process. Goodluck established 12 universities in Nigeria, the only one in the Niger Delta. You say you suspect fraud. Come on. You should say we should then scrap the civil service. We should scrap NNPC because we believe that there is fraud in NNPC. You begin to pursue certain individuals who were in government at that time, who were loyal to the last party. The IYC wrote open letters to the president to say, look, this university and these actions that you are taking could lead us to the point where we will lose control. Because we know the way our people operate. Before you know it, some people, just as we have seen now, they don't care about anybody and they have taken laws into their hands. But we did everything possible to reach the administration. I wrote letters to the president, both open letters and private letters. We wrote for audience, just to be able to express ourselves. Look, I didn't work for President Buhari. I don't go and reap where I did not sow. I'm not expecting to go there and, for 16 years, I've been on the side of one party. Then immediately we lost. People who were 16 years suffering, I will jump over to go and take their benefit. I don't do those kind of things. And as a leader of the people, I have never gone to government to say you must give us this. But the issue is, there are issues for us to address. As we stand today.
And these are the issues that we would love to talk about to see if there is a nexus between those issues and what the Avengers are doing.
Well, you can see that we've all been talking about a true federal system. Because we have seen that every other process, if you want to build a road or you want to build a railway, you are just window dressing the issue. We want a situation where a holistic approach should be implemented by government so that we will solve herdsmen crisis, we will solve iPod crisis. It's not about Niger Delta alone. As I speak to you, I can't even pay salaries of my staff anymore because the conflict in the region have made companies leave the environment. A lot of people have lost their jobs. It's a problem that is affecting us more than the government itself. And so we have looked for all means to reach out. They are refusing. And if you don't allow, if you do not create opportunities, because they see every other person as, oh, once you come from the South, you are a PDP person, you are an opposition. That attitude will not help matters. And so we have done all we can to reach out to the government. The government seems not to understand how to address the issues. But the IYC in our last meeting has said the President Buhari must wake up to the challenges because there are a lot of people around him who keep telling lies, deceiving the president. You saw what happened during the Boko Haram. President Goodluck Jonathan was deceived by these attitudes. People who would tell the president, we can handle it, we will crush them, we will do this. When clearly we have seen that military approach will not solve the problem. And so for me, I think that the government, it is time for the government to sit up and address these issues squarely.
Before we go back to the government, let's come back to the indigents of the residents of the Niger Delta and the Avengers. The infrastructure they are destroying now, have you thought about the effects on your environment?
You see, yes, it's a worry to all of us. I have done an helicopter flight around the Niger Delta. I know the devastation that is taking place. You see, but you have pushed the people to the wall, to the point where they don't care. In any case, you have an infrastructure in the place that makes a lot of money and the people are not part of it. They don't see themselves as part of it. It's the same thing why we talked about the PIB. In this country, most times, it's penny wise, pounds foolish. Didn't we raise issues about the approach? You must wait to say, look, if I begin to pursue this angle or pursue this individual, what is it going to cost me? They did not look at those things. You are talking about a PIB when we said people must take ownership of the facilities in their environment. And let me tell you, the 10% equity for community in the PIB was an injustice that was being corrected by the late President Umaru Yar'Adua. When Olokala LNG was to be built, President Obasanjo then included 10% equity for community participation. Then we went to the president during the negotiations. He said, Bonny was built without equity for community that owned the land. Soku was built without equity for community that owned the land. How come you'll be building Olokola that is the same LNG, the same gas, and then you are giving 10% because community provided land? And then the president then said, it was an injustice. But we will correct it by making a law that will guarantee community participation. He did not say Ijaw people's participation. He did not say Niger Delta people's 10%. Once there is a pipeline in Kaduna, the communities that are affected will participate in that process. 10% equity of that process, they will be part of it. If you find oil in Enugu, for instance, the devastated communities that are affected will participate in that process. By so doing, you will stop spending money for pipeline surveillance. You will stop all this issue because people will take ownership.
When you talk about dealing with the issues, before you talked about a true federal system.
Yeah.
Before that happens, because that will require a look at the constitution, a restructuring of the country, what are the low-hanging fruits you think can be looked at now?
Okay,
so that things can get back to.
Firstly, I'm not expecting this administration to implement the National Confab report, which I would have felt that it would have been a short, let me say, a quick win for Nigerians because they didn't participate. However, we have said that if you are not going to dust it and review it and see what you can add or remove, then start your own discourse. But in the meantime, we have said people are aggrieved. Can you please, first of all, stop pursuing individuals from the Niger Delta? Allow the law to take its course.
Even if they have a case to answer?
If they have a case, the law is there. Do not abuse the rule of law. Look, the point is that government is not respecting rule of law. And so people feel that if my right will be trampled upon, as I speak to you,
have an example, because
Azibola, who is the cousin to the president, is